Hey cuties, what's up? We are back with some more reactions after dark, and we're of course going to be watching her headless body was found tied to a tree. The shocking Crystal Joy Abarquez, Abarquez. I don't know how to say that case. Obviously by Dark Asia with Megan. Yeah, obviously it's been a while since we done Dark Asia with Megan, so I figured might as well do that today because her videos are typically really short. And it's already late. It's about to be 8 o'clock, as you can see down there. It says it's 7:52. Me too, because I had to go out today. Like I said, I made a post about it. Again, I have to go out on the 18th as well, and the 20th. Well, I have stuff to do on the 18th and 20th. Obviously today as well, so this is going to be late. I didn't even do the daily note today, so that's oof. But, I figured we could do some Dark Asia with Megan. I want to do a Dark Asia with Megan week again, but maybe next week we'll do that. Where it's just like 5 days of Dark Asia back to back to back. We'll have to see. But yeah, that title seems to be pretty messed up. Question mark, right? So I don't know how we're going to get to that point. I mean, it's always going to be messed up, and you just have to hope that the people got caught and sent to jail either forever or, death penalty if that's even where they're at. But it should have not happened to begin with, right?
If you have any dogs or cats, you know that to show you their appreciation, they will sometimes bring you little gifts.
I have heard of this, question mark, though I don't have animals.
And the gifts are usually pretty harmless. A stick, a ball, maybe a dead bird if you're unlucky. But what if one day your dog came home carrying something that wasn't any of those things? What if the thing
She better not say a human head, because why would a dog carry a human head all the way to someone's house? Like, why in God's name would it do that? It should know that it's a human head. Would it not?
your dog brought home was a human foot?
Okay, a foot. That's maybe I can be okay with. Like a whole head, I was like, okay, what is wrong with your dog? But a foot, like maybe I could see that happening.
Today's case is one that's still ongoing. It's the story of a girl who went missing.
Oof. Okay, well that's unfortunate that it's still ongoing. That means the people who did it aren't going to get punished.
And whose remains were ultimately found because of a curious dog. A case that sent shockwaves through the Philippines and broke the hearts of everyone who heard it. This is the tragic death of Crystal Joy Abarquez.
Abarquez.
On February 19th, a dog named Mayat was out playing on its own, just like it did most days. The owner was inside, going about his routine, and Mayat was wandering around, exploring. Normally, Mayat would come back once it got called or once the sun started going down. And sure enough, that evening, Mayat came trotting home. But this time, it had something in its mouth. And at first, the owner, a man named Ronico Labrador, figured it was just another random thing the dog had dragged home. Maybe a branch, maybe a discarded toy. Mayat did that kind of thing all the time.
How long is it going to take him to notice what it is?
But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared Ronico for what he was actually looking at. It was a human foot, a real decomposing human foot, right there in his dog's mouth.
Okay, decomposing, not just like a fresh. I don't know why what I was imagining was just like a fresh foot. I'm assuming that's what everyone was imagining, right? Just a fresh human foot, just severed, of course. So that part's gross, but like other than that, it's just like a pristine foot. I don't know why that's what I was thinking of. Of course, it would be rotting.
And he couldn't help himself. He screamed so loudly that even his neighbors heard him. And as soon as he was able to compose himself, he called the police and filed a report. It didn't take long for officers to arrive on the scene. They spoke with Ronico, got the details, and then set about trying to find out where Mayat had found the foot. The police ended up in a grassy, mountainous area in Barangay Ibo. And what they found there was horrific.
Where is this, by the way?
They discovered the decomposing body of a young girl, tied to a tree with a shoelace tied around her neck. Nearby, lying on the ground, was her severed head. Her bag and other personal belongings were scattered near the body, which led police to believe she had been killed right there, at that very spot. The body was taken in for an autopsy and DNA testing. In the meantime, investigators went through her belongings, looking for anything else that might tell them who she was. They reached out to the families of missing persons in the area, among whom was Christina Abarquez, a mother who had desperately been searching for her 12-year-old daughter for 8 days. When the police brought Christine in to view the remains, she was completely devastated. She recognized the sweatpants. She recognized the necklace. It was her baby.
I feel like if they're this badly desecrated, like, you kind of don't want to show them. Like, I feel like you shouldn't show them at like show her the clothes and whatnot, but like don't show her the person there like decapitated, rotting daughter, right? Like, why would you show them that?
It was her missing daughter, Crystal Joy Abarquez. There isn't much publicly available information about Crystal, but from the videos and photos that have since spread across the internet, she comes across as a sweet, bright girl. The kind of girl who smiled easily, who loved spending time with her peers, and who generally had a positive energy about her. She was a 6th grade student, living at home with her parents and 2 sisters.
Really young.
Crystal and her sisters would regularly visit their relatives, and one of their favorite spots was their grandmother's house. And if you know anything about grandmothers, especially in that part of the world, you know what that means. You're getting fed. Even if you say,
okay, so what do you mean by that? But okay, I feel like isn't that just a grandmother stereotype in general? I feel like it's not even like she's at like that area, but I feel like that's just a grandmother stereotype. You go to your grandmother's and then you get fat, right? Because they're going to keep feeding you all the good food and baby you or whatever. That is not from experience, though. That is just what I assume from the stereotype. I've never met either sets of grandparents, and I'm pretty sure both sets are already passed. So, because they didn't live here, they live in completely different states. So, if I met them, I wasn't old enough to have any cognitive function to remember them. So, like, yeah, I never met them while they were alive.
Say you're full, grandma's packing up food for you to take home.
So I wouldn't know from firsthand, is what I mean.
What that means. You're getting fed. Even if you say you're full, grandma's packing up food for you to take home. That was the vibe at their grandmother's place. Crystal especially loved to ask for ulam, a side dish usually made with some kind of meat or fish that you eat with rice. Usually, all 3 sisters would go together, but on February 11th, things were different. Crystal didn't go with her sister to her grandmother's house that day. Instead, she was just sitting on her phone. Maybe she was scrolling through social media or texting friends. There was no reason to expect that anything unusual was going on. But then, later that day, she suddenly walked out of the house, alone, without telling anyone where she was going or why. And for Crystal, who was described as an obedient, well-behaved daughter, that was out of character.
Yeah, like why would some random person be able to just get her out of the house like that, right?
Christine didn't think much of it at first. She figured Crystal would be back soon. But the hours ticked by, the sky turned dark, and Crystal still hadn't come home. That's when the worry set in. Christine started calling everyone she could think of, friends, family, neighbors, asking if anyone had seen Crystal or knew where she might be. Nobody had a clue. It was like she had just vanished.
I mean, like, nobody's gonna know it. Like, the dog is the only one who found her, right?
Christine posted on social media, hoping someone might have spotted her daughter. But nothing, not a single lead. At that point, she couldn't wait any longer. She went straight to the police and reported Crystal missing. The Toledo City Police put together a special team to find her. Working alongside local officials and neighbors from the community, they followed every possible lead. They knocked on doors, talked to anyone who lived in the area or might have passed through. They pulled CCTV footage from cameras near Crystal's house and along the surrounding roads. And eventually, their efforts paid off. On the CCTV footage, they spotted her sitting on the back of a man's motorcycle.
Is it like blurred? Because it's like hard to see it. Maybe it's just this is really bad footage, right? Because this angle is weird. I'm assuming they zoomed in on the motorcycle, and it's actually really smaller than that. That's why it looks so bad. I mean, this camera looks like it's just bad in general. It's CCTV, so that makes sense.
At around 5 in the afternoon on February 11th. But identifying
Old enough to drive then, question mark, right?
the man was nearly impossible. He was wearing a hat that obscured almost his entire face. With the footage in
You can make out this man wearing a hat where... Because I just see just 2 blurs. Like, we're supposed to be saying, like, this is him, maybe, and then this is her on the back, but it looks like nothing to me. I can see arms on the bars, and that's it. It almost looks not real. Like, it looks uncanny. So I can't even tell, like, them apart here. Maybe this is not even her. Like, cause is this a leg and his leg? So, like, maybe her body isn't here. It's over here somewhere. I just don't see anything.
Man was nearly impossible. He was wearing a hat that obscured almost his entire face. With the footage in hand, the case shifted into a new phase, and the public was brought into the search. Toledo City Mayor Marjorie Perales even offered reward money for anyone who would provide information leading to Crystal's whereabouts. But for days after her disappearance, they had absolutely nothing. No tips, no sightings, no breaks in the case, until the shocking news came. Up until that point, Crystal's family had been holding on to hope. They believed she was still alive somewhere, that she was safe. But that hope was shattered when they got a call from the police, asking them to come in and help identify the body that they confirmed was Crystal's. When Christine heard the full details of how her daughter had been found, the state of the body, the way she'd been left, she nearly fainted. She couldn't begin to imagine the fear Crystal must have felt, the pain she must have gone through before ending up in that place, in that condition. And
Again, like, I would hope they didn't actually show her all the damage that had been done to her, but I'm guessing they did.
And her nightmare didn't end there. That same evening, February 19th, the police told the family they had already arrested a prime suspect.
Okay. This could be the guy. I did see some sort of khaki color on that motorcycle, right?
A 27-year-old mechanic named Roel Villapana Jr. Now, the arrest of a suspect should have been a small element of positivity in an otherwise tragic and devastating situation. But it wasn't. Roel was Christine's cousin.
Okay, so that would make sense as to why it would be someone who could get you out of the house, right? Because it's someone you know. And isn't that always the case, right? Is it like 9 times out of 10 the person who is the murderer is somehow in the person's life already, whether it be family, friends, etc.?
He was family. Roel was picked up at his home in Barangay Bato after police matched him to the CCTV footage. He was the man on the motorcycle with Crystal. Christine was floored. First, her daughter goes missing, then
Floored. I feel like she would kill him there in the jail.
She's found dead, tied to a tree, decapitated. And now she's being told the suspect is her own relative, someone she trusted, someone Crystal should have been safe with. From the very beginning, Roel denied everything. He pointed out that he had even helped the Abarquez family in the search to find Crystal. But investigators weren't buying it. They thought it could easily be a cover, a way to avoid suspicion. And as they dug deeper into his background, they discovered he had a history of illegal drug use. His
Okay, sure.
mental health was also reportedly unstable, and he had been on medication to treat his condition since he was 15 years old. Roel had moved to Toledo City in 2021. Not much is known about his life there, but as the investigation continued, something disturbing came to light. Roel was previously charged with 2 counts of rape in Iloilo City. According to the Manila
We're going to say that also happened here, unfortunately.
Times, there were reportedly also incidents involving him and young girls, though the story did not offer specific details. When that information about Roel's past went public, people were outraged. They demanded a deeper, more thorough investigation. They didn't want Crystal's death to become just another headline that would quickly disappear and lead to the killer getting a slap on the wrist. The people wanted justice. They wanted whoever did this to face
I mean, a slap on the wrist. He's going to slap on the wrist for, like, brutalizing someone so horribly?
the most severe consequences the law could deliver. A lot of people started speculating about the motive. Given Roel's prior rape charges, many suggested that it was likely driven by predatory desire. Others wondered if he might have been under the influence of drugs when he killed Crystal. But Roel denied all of it. His defense was that he had a daughter of his own, so why would he ever hurt Crystal? As of now, the investigation is still ongoing.
So that's the problem. Like, we're halfway through, though. But are we still just not going to know who did it? Like, we're assuming he did it, right? But what if he didn't, and that's like the twist? It's like there's actual evidence to say, oh wait, this isn't him.
Police are working to connect every piece of the puzzle. Witness statements, physical evidence, the suspect's history. 3 informants have already been rewarded by the Toledo City mayor for their help in identifying Roel.
What are these envelopes? These look like 3 children. This seems like a weird, like, PR move, question mark. This just seems like weird. To like, hey, look, these 3 children, I gave them money, question mark, for help. Let's take a picture together with you holding the money that I gave you. Question mark. This feels weird, right? Am I crazy, or is this just a weird PR move?
Crystal's remains were sent for examination to determine the exact cause of her death and assess whether she had been sexually assaulted before being killed. The results have not yet been made public. On February 24th, Crystal was laid to rest at Ibo Cemetery in Toledo City. The gathering was filled not just with family, but with neighbors and even strangers who came to show their support and say their final goodbyes. Crystal's father broke down in tears when he saw his daughter's photo placed above the casket that held her remains. Now, even though this case is far from over and no conclusions have yet been reached, a lot of people in the Philippines can't help but think back to 2011, when a disturbingly similar case unfolded.
What is that story? Has she talked about that? I'm assuming she's probably talked about that one before. She would have to, right?
Her name was Ella Joy Piquet, and she was just 6 years old. Ella was found dead on February 11th, 2011, in Bareilly Town, Cebu, roughly 45 kilometers from her home in Minglanilla.
What was the other time? February something? Isn't this like very similar? Are we going to say this is like a serial killer and this is his MO?
The state of her body was horrifying. She was found naked, wrapped in a white bedsheet, weighted down with 3 large stones. Her body was covered in dark bruises, suggesting she had been physically restrained before she died. The only witness in Ella's case was an 11-year-old schoolmate. On the day of Ella's disappearance, February 8th, Ella and other students were dismissed from Calajuan Elementary School in Minglanilla in southern Cebu. Ella was walking with her friend at around 4 in the afternoon when a Mitsubishi Pajero pulled up near them. A woman inside that vehicle, described as having long hair and almond-shaped eyes, called out to Ella. She asked Ella's mother's name and where her house was. Then she offered Ella a ride, and Ella, as trusting and unsuspecting as most young children would be, just smiled, nodded, and got in the car. The friend watched it happen. She looked inside the vehicle and saw Ella sitting on the woman's lap. There was also a man in the car.
Okay, I was going to say, like, how is she going to be in her lap if she's driving? So it's just your standard, I don't know what you call this sort of maneuver, but I feel like it's common enough that people should be wary of it where, woman is used as a disarmer. How do you say it? Like, not disarming, but like I want to say disarmament, but that's not a real word, is it? As a disarming tactic to get you in, and you're like, oh, it's just a woman. There's no danger, right? And then all of a sudden you're gotten, you're kidnapped, you're killed, you're assaulted, whatever, right? Because there's a guy or a group of guys waiting to ambush you once the woman has disarmed you and lulled you into a false sense of security, question mark. And in this situation, that's even easier for a child, right?
A foreigner who was driving. The car pulled away and Ella was gone. Being a kid herself, the friend didn't think much of it at the time. She figured maybe they were Ella's relatives or maybe friends of her mom's. But days passed and Ella never came home, and her body was eventually found at the bottom of a cliff. Police identified 2 prime suspects.
So they didn't say anything about decapitation, so I'm guessing this isn't a serial killer who just keeps getting away with it.
A woman named Bella Ruby Santos and her British boyfriend, Ian Charles Griffith. Bella was arrested inside a mall in Manila on October 7th, 2011. And since Ian was outside the jurisdiction of Philippine courts, Bella became the primary focus of the investigation. The 2 were accused of conspiring to abduct and murder Ella to produce content for a pornographic website. Bella's car was examined and DNA was collected from both the vehicle and her home in Naga City. But investigators came up empty. Not a single trace of Ella's DNA was found.
How? Though she did say that Ella was in her lap, question mark. So maybe that was on purpose so that she wouldn't get her DNA anywhere. Like they made sure that she was held down away from the car. But is that enough to just have a child sit in your lap and not touch anything? To not have any DNA left behind?
In either location. Then in April 2013, the case took a turn, and not a good one. The court ruled that the prosecution had failed to prove what happened to Ella after she got into the car. Where was she taken? What happened during those missing days?
Is that how this links to the first thing? So like, I feel like we just went on like a huge tangent about a completely different case. But I'm guessing it's because these 2 are going to get away with it because they couldn't figure out how to prove that they did it. And they don't want that to happen with Crystal.
When exactly did she die? Who was with her? All of those critical questions remained unanswered. With nothing to fill in those gaps, the case essentially fell apart. Bella was released on bail, 500,000 Philippine pesos, roughly $8,600 US. On October 8th, 2014, the regional trial court officially acquitted Bella. The court said they couldn't rely solely on the testimony of a child witness. She was young, and there was a real possibility she had mistaken Bella for someone else.
That's gonna like probably drive that child crazy, right? That just ruined that child's life. Like one child got taken out and another one just had their life ruined by not being believed by the law, right? She's gonna have to go her entire life knowing, or as far as she knows, if she is telling the truth, like she knows who did it, but the law refuses to believe her because she was a child.
They felt the case needed more concrete evidence and a more mature analytical framework, rather than leaning so heavily on the word of someone so young. The judge also noted that none of the officers who were directly involved in taking the girl's testimony came forward to explain their methods, how they questioned her, how they ensured the accuracy of her account. That raised even more doubt. And when the witness herself took the stand, she admitted she frequently watched the news, and that it was actually a neighbor who told her Bella was the one who killed Ella. That, combined with a total lack of physical evidence linking Bella to the crime, ensured her acquittal.
So the smiling that she's doing.
Bella was overjoyed when the verdict was handed down.
I mean, clearly, look how she's smiling.
She couldn't contain her relief.
Laughter
but for
there.
Renande Piquet, Ella's father, that decision was heartbreaking. He was consumed with grief. Who wouldn't be? Whoever murdered his little girl was still out there, free, while he was left to carry the weight of that loss for the rest of his life. To this day, Ella's case remains unsolved, and there is growing concern that her killer may never be caught. And given the statute of limitations, 20 years for homicide and other serious crimes in the Philippines, some are worried that the perpetrator may remain at large until...
Was this 2011? So they got till 2031, so it's 5 years or so?
Too late to prosecute. For Ella's case, it might take something close to a miracle, but the chance is never zero. With the technology we have today, maybe the case can be solved, allowing Ella to finally rest in peace. Looking at what happened with Ella's case, people are terrified that Crystal's case might end the same way, with no answers, no justice, and no closure. People are clinging to the hope that justice will be served, but it's a long road. The current suspect is still denying everything. The autopsy results still haven't been released.
Of course.
There are so many unanswered questions, creating greater and greater unease among the public. 2 girls, 2 young lives taken far too soon, and both found in such brutal circumstances. Crystal's case is still ongoing, and people across the Philippines are demanding justice for her and her family. Prayers have been pouring in from all over the country. Videos of Crystal are being shared everywhere online, as people try to make sure no one forgets her name, that this case stays in the public eye. People have also started broader conversations about women's safety and child safety, not just in public places, but within families too. Because sadly, statistics show that these kind of cases have been on the rise in Asia in recent years. The topic of drug abuse has...
But like family killing their own? Again, I'm pretty sure that is the standard statistic for that stuff, right? Is that the majority of time, I don't know if it's like 9 times out of 10, like I said earlier, but the majority of time when someone is murdered, it is a family member, friends, an acquaintance, somebody they knew, and not just some random stranger. Question mark. Like that's why you're always supposed to check the family or check the husband, check the wife when someone dies. We're in a suspicious way. Question mark.
Has come up as well, particularly since the suspect in Crystal's case has a documented history of drug addiction. But again, nothing has been proven yet. No final conclusions have been drawn. Too many cases fall between the cracks. Too many people are able to evade justice. We can only hope that the perpetrators in both cases are caught and punished to the fullest extent of the law. So, what do you think about this case? Share your thoughts in the comments, and that is all for today. Thanks for watching.
Right, well that is going to be that for today. Like, oof though, right? The sunflower here. Oof. Yeah, that's going to be it for today. Again, it's just another unfortunate situation. Hopefully the guy that they got actually is the guy, and he goes to jail forever / execution. I don't know if they do that over there. Question mark. I think I say this a lot with Dark Asia videos, but I think because she keeps doing so many new things, I think she just ran out of all the old stuff to do, right? Is that you end up with case back to back to back where it's just either unsolved or the person has not gotten their jail time yet sentenced. So you just have to hope that their comeuppance happens, right? I think that's how you say that, right? And just hope that this guy, again, gets put away forever or is removed from existence. Question mark. Yep, that is going to be it for today. Again, this was supposed to be a quick one. As usual, that's why we chose the Dark Asia. We're already at 8:16, 8:15 over there. But yeah, I think we're just going to go ahead and end now. So yeah, Kyuuties, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers and think about becoming a member. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thanks for working on watch time and subscribers. And don't forget we have a throw now as well. And shout out to the members, EmmyStarr, RaleyDrew, and alexgkiller 880. Yeah, Kyuuties, thanks for watching. Tune to the next episode. Like, subscribe, hype, and comment. Also, go watch the Daily Node, question mark. I know I didn't upload one today because of having stuff to do in real life, but again, go watch it. The last episode was some cherry red dice, which is what I refer to as cherry casinos. It's a silly name, which is why I like it. yeah, go look at that. I love dice, so go look at those dice, please. Thank you. Oh, yep. Tune into the next episode. Like, subscribe, hype, and comment. Do. See ya.